Hello, welcome back to the Jacksonville History Show. I'm Emily Retherford Lisska, and I'm Executive Director of the Jacksonville Historical Society. And in this segment, we'll be talking about award winners in historic preservation and for history education projects in the city of Jacksonville. These are annual awards given by and sponsored by the Jacksonville Historic Preservation Commission. And here to tell us about the award winners for 2012 is Historic Preservation Planner Autumn Martinage. Hello, Autumn.
Hi, Emily.
And after our big French week in Jacksonville, I should not murder the name Martinage. Well, welcome here.
Thank you.
And the Historic Preservation Commission had a record number of awards this year.
That we did. This year we had 22 projects that we recognized for both residential structural rehabilitations and books and films and other projects.
And it's always interesting to see just what's happening. I always think my finger's on the pulse of all things history and preservation in Jacksonville, but I get to these awards and there's a lot going on that I am unaware of, and it's very exciting to hear and to see. And why don't we get started with some of the award winners? Just on May 3rd is when this event took place.
Right. This year we included the ceremony as part of our annual our Restored Jacksonville conference that we held this year, and we thought it'd be a great tie-in to put our award ceremony as part of that conference. This year, but in addition to the 22 projects we recognized, we also recognized two individuals that the Jacksonville Preservation Circles lost this past year, Jerry Spinks and Dr. Carolyn Williams. And their loss is, significant hole felt in both the history and the preservation circles as well as education circles.
Jerry Spinks and Carolyn were really forces of nature when it came to providing services to the history community and to the community at large. Carolyn was an author. Jerry was involved with so many restoration projects and other history projects in our city, and their loss has been staggering.
Very much.
And it was really wonderful to see them remembered in such a major way at this ceremony.
This is our Heritage Education category. This year we recognized 6 projects in this category, and we kind of divided them into publication and film. What you see on the screen is the 4 books that we recognized this year. The first one was The Broward Family from France to Florida, written by architect Bob Broward, and also The Gift of Public Service, an autobiography compiled by John Young. The other 2 books was Remembering Neighborhoods of Jacksonville, Florida, Oakland, Campbell's edition, East Jacksonville, Fairfield, The African American Influence, written and compiled by Mary Mungeon Jameson, as well as a coffee table book written by Ennis Davis entitled Reclaiming Jacksonville, Stories Behind the River City's Historic Landmarks. In addition to these 2 books, we recognized a newsletter publication written and published by the Springfield Heritage Education Center on a monthly, sometimes bi-monthly basis as they come up with stories, as well as a documentary film done by Emmanuel Washington entitled We Remember Raines, the history and story of William Marion Raines High School.
And that's one I haven't seen yet, so I'm
Phenomenal.
excited.
You will definitely would like to see that.
I look forward to it. Now, to be very parochial, I'll just go back and say The Broward Family from France to Florida and The Gift of Public Service were both publications of the Jacksonville Historical Society, and the graphics were done by Wayne Wood, who's well known for his work in book publications.
Definitely. He must have several books under his belt at this point.
At every moment he does.
In addition to our Heritage Education category, we also have a category entitled Archaeological and Landscape. And this year we recognized 2 projects. The first one was the University of North Florida's Public Archaeological Field School, which they actually opened up to the general public for the first time last year. That way, just regular Joe on the street could participate in the program and actually participate in a real archaeological dig up on Black Hammock Island.
And this year they're opening it up again, I understand, and people can actually get involved in the search for La Caroline, Fort Caroline, which is huge. We're talking about a fort here in a French colony here, 440 8 years ago. So, and they're trying to find this fort by the 450th anniversary of the French colony here.
Definitely, and hopefully they can find it. They've been searching for a long time.
And to get involved, people just call University of North Florida the archaeology program.
Well, actually, it is with the archaeology program, but it's the continuing education division.
Okay.
Which is, you know, some of their general education programs the University of North Florida does on an annual basis. And so if they go to their website at the University of North Florida, they can find how to enroll in the archaeological program there.
Wonderful. Thank you.
The other project in this category was the reconstruction of the Camp Milton earthworks. Camp Milton was involved in the Battle of the Ulisti. It was a Confederate campground that was eventually overtaken by the Union troops in 1864. And the earthworks reconstruction was based on a written description by a Union officer in a letter. And they did not do the entire campgrounds, but they did do part of it, so that way visitors can kind of see what it was like, what it looked like at the time. And this was done by the 75th Ohio Volunteer Infantry, a Civil War battle reenactment infantry here locally.
Oh, so they actually redug the earthworks as per this diary account.
Exactly per the diary count. Pine logs, same thickness, stirred up the mounds, everything.
So how many people do you think were involved, and how many, I can't remember how many accepted the award?
There was only 3 or 4 that were actually there on behalf of this, but this organization has several dozen members. So I didn't include the photograph from the slide, but they do have a slide of a team, and there was probably 30, 40 guys in this picture. So it was definitely a team effort. I'm not sure what the timeline was.
Well, as a good Southern woman and with lots of Confederate relations, let me just say my hat's off to the 75th Ohio Volunteer Infantry. That's marvelous.
Now, our next category, we actually split into 2 this year because of the number, but it was our Preservation Projects and Service category. And among the projects and individuals that we recognized was the group Sustainable Springfield, which is a organization in Springfield that is illustrated to, or works to take liabilities and turn them into assets. Community gardens on what was once vacant lots, reutilizing a Confederate park into the disc golf course, cooking classes, urban agriculture, that type of activities, and they're very involved with that. And we also recognize Christine Farley for her significant contributions to the history of Springfield, restoration of Springfield. She's had her fingers in every organization in Springfield itself, and she's now the historian for the Springfield Heritage Education Center that I mentioned earlier. And so we recognized her for her varying works that she's done in the neighborhood. One of the other projects in this category was actually Gary Sass and Ad Lib luxury tours and transportation for his walking tour that he does at downtown Jacksonville called the Top to Bottom Tour. And this I actually got to participate in, and this is a fantastic tour. He literally takes you from the top of the Florida Theater to the basement beneath the Atlantic National Bank building. A lot of sights in between.
And he's dressed as General Andrew Jackson.
He is dressed as General Andrew Jackson, so it's very easy to find at the beginning of the tour.
And we have about 3 minutes or less left, so we'll kind of move through the rest rapidly.
Okay. Well, a couple other projects in this category was the Naval Air Station Jacksonville and the Rodman Bombing Range Integrated Cultural Resources Management Plan. They compiled all the cultural resources plans into one book, and has become a template for other naval bases across the country. We also recognize the Arlington Mod Tour done by the AIA and Doko Momo and the old Arlington that explored the modern architecture in Arlington this past year. Another of my favorite projects was the relocation and restoration of Rabeau's Landing's mural into the Fort Public Library, and I believe the Historical Society had a part in that as well with your documentation.
We did indeed, and people can see this on the 4th floor of the library in the Florida collections.
It is magnificent to see in person.
33 feet long. It is.
Going to some of our residential things very briefly, we had a new construction at 1897 Greenwood Avenue, the rehabilitation of 1514 Dancy Street, and 317 East 6th Street.
And that was a project of Jack Meeks and Joanne Tredinick, and they are just constantly rehabbing places in Springfield, I understand.
This was their latest, and I can't wait to see what their next one is going to be. Among the commercial rehabilitations was the 3541 St. John's Avenue from a vacant storefront into a barber shop, as well as 2665 Park Street from a pharmacy into Pele's Wood Fire and Grill, which is a fantastic restaurant. We had two adaptive reuse categories, projects, 1448 Liberty Street and John Gorey High School in Riverside into condominiums.
Junior high, yes.
Junior high school, yes. And our final project was Friendship Fountain, which I believe both of those two were touched on in the previous segment.
And a great project and a great rehab and a beautiful way to end the program. I want to thank you for all your work and efforts to stage these awards every year, and the Historic Preservation Commission. You do such a grand job. And if people want to find out more about the award winners, more about the historic sites that are threatened, they can just simply call the Jacksonville Historical Society or go online at jackshistory.com. And for now, Autumn, we're history. Thanks a lot for listening.